One thing I've come to realize is that for you to be successful in any area, you have to gather enough information. And one of the ways of achieving that is through reading books from people that have succeeded in that area. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing a book from one of the greatest authors of all times named Brian Tracy. Before we go to the business of today, I want to take a few seconds to thank you for sticking around to watch this video. I'll be happier if you stick to the end. So let's go straight to the business of today. I'm going to be reviewing a book titled No Excuses, The Power of Self-Discipline by Brian Tracy. Now let's talk about the author. Brian Tracy was born in 1944 in Eastern Canada. He's the president of 3 companies with operations worldwide. He has authored so many books, and this book, No Excuses, The Power of Self-Discipline, is one of them. Now, about this book has 3 parts with 7 chapters each, making it 21 chapters in all. It has 293 numbered pages. The 3 parts are self-discipline and personal success, self-discipline in business, sales, and finances, self-discipline and the good life. I really like this book because it touches all aspects of life, and for someone who is interested in personal development, I think this is a very big one. I recommend to you too. Now let's review the book properly. We'll start with the first part, which is titled Self-Discipline and Personal Success. Like the name suggests, the part talks about your personal life. It talks about developing greater self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride. It also talks about learning the essential disciplines required for personal greatness and how to build them into your own character and personality. These are the 7 chapters under this part. The first chapter is titled Self-Discipline and Success. One of the things I noted here was the Pareto principle, which states that the top 20% of people earn 80% of the money and enjoy 80% of the riches and rewards. This chapter talks about defining success personally, describing your ideal life, doing your own thing, and starting with nothing. The second chapter is titled Self-Discipline and Character. Brian Tracy explains that the development of character is the greatest business of life. The person you are today, your innermost character, is the sum total of all your choices and decisions in life up to this date. He talks about the psychology of character, which involves the 3 parts of your personality: your self-ideal, your self-image, and your self-esteem. The third chapter in this part is titled Self-Discipline and Responsibility. Your ability and willingness to discipline yourself to accept personal responsibility for your life are essential to happiness, health, success, achievement, and personal leadership. This chapter talks about eliminating emotions in order not to have psychosomatic illness. The fourth chapter is titled Self-Discipline and Goals. One thing that stood out for me in this chapter is the 3% factor. It simply means that only 3% of adults have written goals and plans, and these 3% earn more than all of the other 97% put together. Wow. The fifth chapter is titled Self-Discipline and Personal Excellence. Here he talks about joining the 20% we talked about in chapter 1, about the Pareto principle and the keys to the 21st century, and turning the ordinary into extraordinary. Brian Tracy talks about the 3 simple steps to become the best, which are: 1. Read 60 minutes in your field each day. 2. Listen to educational audio programs. 3. Attend courses and seminars in your field regularly. The sixth chapter is titled Self-Discipline and Courage. Here, we see that fears can be unlearned, eliminating 2 fears at once, confronting your fears, and moving towards the fear. There are 2 types of courage that a leader should have, and they are: 1. The courage to launch or take action. 2. The courageous patience. The seventh and last chapter in this part is titled Self-Discipline and Persistence. Persistence is self-discipline in action. Brian talks about the reward of persistence, your ability to respond, being proactive, and looking for the gift in every problem. Before we move to the next part, if this is your first time here, kindly subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell to get notified on when I upload videos. Having done that, we will now proceed to part 2, which is titled Self-Discipline in Business, Sales, and Finance. This part talks about learning how to increase productivity, performance, output, and results. The 7 chapters in this part are: 1. Self-discipline and work. In this chapter, I learned how to calculate my hourly rate. I think this will also be interesting to you. talking about separating the relevant from the irrelevant, developing an excellent reputation, and the law of three that helps you prioritize. 2. Self-discipline and leadership. Leadership and self-discipline go hand in hand. We see the four stages of development, which are employee, supervisor, manager, and leader. I also got to find out that there are 7 principles of leadership, which are clarity, competence, commitment, constraints, creativity, continuous learning, and consistency. 3. Self-discipline and business. This place talks about the law of competition, how that the customer is always right, challenging your assumptions, identifying your ideal customer, knowing your true cost, and a lot more. If you are a business person, you may find this chapter very interesting. Good luck. 4. Self-discipline and sales. Brian Tracy said, and I quote, "Nothing happens until a sale takes place." He talks about the discipline of generating sales and how to overcome your fear of rejection, as well as to remain positive and optimistic. 5. Self-discipline and money. Now this is quite a sensitive topic. In this chapter, Brian Tracy explains why baby boomers are planning to work into their 70s. He explains the reason for the financial failure and how to rewire your responses about money. He teaches on how to be self-disciplined towards spending all your earning. 6. Self-discipline and time management. Time management is a core discipline that largely determines the quality of your life. Time is perishable, it cannot be saved. It is irreplaceable and irretrievable. Time is indispensable. Brian talks about applying the ABCDE method to your list. A stands for must do, B should do, C nice to do, D delegate, and E eliminate. Finally, on this part, self-discipline and problem solving. This chapter explains the inevitable and unavoidable crisis, performing at your best, keeping your mind clear, and a lot more. He also listed a 9-step method for solving problems effectively, which you will see when you read this book. And to the final part, self-discipline and the good life. This part talks about learning how the practice of self-discipline in the most important areas of your life can bring you more joy and satisfaction. The first chapter in this part is self-discipline and happiness. In this chapter, the 5 ingredients of happiness are listed, and they are: 1. Health and energy. 2. Happy relationships. 3. Meaningful work. 4. Financial independence. 5. Self-actualization. Second chapter is titled Self-Discipline and Personal Health. Brian explains the 7 key health habits to long life. They are: eat regularly, eat lightly, don't snack between meals, exercise regularly, wear a seatbelt, don't smoke, and drink alcohol in moderation. He also talks about the 5 P's of excellent health. The third chapter is titled Self-Discipline and Physical Fitness. Physical fitness is its own reward. For you to achieve and maintain high levels of physical fitness, it is required that you give a lot of your time for self-discipline and willpower. 4. Self-discipline and marriage. Here we see the key to a happy marriage, and that love is our greatest need in life. People need love like roses need rain. We also see male and female communication styles. A man uses only 2 centers of his brain, while women use 7 centers of their brain. That explains why women can do so many things at a time. The fifth chapter is titled Self-Discipline and Children. This chapter talks about how to discipline yourself when a child comes in, as children only spell love as time. This becomes a great responsibility, as you will need to set new priorities. The sixth chapter is titled Self-Discipline and Friendship. Your friendships are also important in your well-being. You have to become absolutely excellent at human relations. This chapter talks about the key to happiness and 7 ways to make people feel really important. Finally, I am so excited. The last chapter, the 7th chapter, is self-discipline and peace of mind. I like this that it came last. It talks about refusing to blame anyone for anything and practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness is a purely selfish act and has nothing whatsoever to do with the other person. You forgive others so that you yourself can become emotionally free. This brings us to the end of this review. I hope you enjoyed it and also got value. Until next time, don't forget to like this video, share to as many people as you can, and also drop your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button too. I'll leave you with these words. You have no excuse. Start a self-disciplined life today. Have a lovely week. Bye.